repopulate the world.
Oh, Nick Cannon.
What's good with that
Man, it's
bro?
crazy because people out here agreeing with that foolery. But I'm not surprised, man, because our community be promoting all of the trash, man. And it's crazy how we always expect to not have trash, or we ask ourselves, like, why we in the position that we in. But at the same time, we literally give cover to trash every single day.
Every
Like
day.
I had to earlier say, man, I might got to disown rap just because, bro, it's getting to a point where everybody just out of control, man. And you can't keep saying, oh, this the problem, that's the problem. But right now, it's just continuing to be anything goes. Like, but this whole anything goes mentality is getting us about the way, fam. And for one, I ain't with it. And anybody who want to say, oh, look, I'm about to get my whole license in party pooping. So I'm about to be pooping on a lot of parties
Man.
because don't nobody like being told the right thing. They only want to hear when they getting told that, oh, yeah, you can do what you want to do. And that's it. When we know that doing what we want to do don't always get us the results in which we need to be getting. Because right now, we are losing. Losing.
Every day.
But um welcome everybody. This is another episode of Eavesdrop. And today we are going to be talking about your boy Joe Biden. As y'all see in the title, there's a bunch of lies, a bunch of, censorship going on that I want to bring to the forefront as everybody try to move forward. This video for real is definitely going to be geared to all of my activists and anybody who got opinions or anybody who has something to say about any administration, any government agency like the CIA, the FBI, anybody in the intelligence agency. This is for you. But before we get started, as we always do, can you please hit the like button? That helps out a lot. Can you please hit the share button? That always helps out, man. Please subscribe. If you are on Facebook, head over to our YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. That always helps. We again trying to have these conversations with everybody. So as I always say, if you want to hop on, please feel free to do so. I am not one to say that you have to agree with everything that I am saying, but I do ask that all people who hop on be respectful. So without further ado, what we just going to go ahead and do is hop into everything. So again, if you want to join in and drop your comments on any part of the discussion, go ahead. The link is in below to do that. I can bring you in. And again, all I ask is that you be respectful. You do not have to disagree with anybody here on the platform. But the first topic that we going to be touching on today is this whole war on crime thing that your boy Joe Biden is talking about. And we going, as we always do, use some articles so that y'all can, I like to have cool source material. But what we going to do is, as y'all can see here, this article is titled Biden Calls for Using COVID-19 Aid to Address Rise in Violent Crime. So, Washington President Biden has laid out his crime prevention strategy Wednesday amid a rise in gun violence in many cities as Republicans seek to tie the increase in crime to calls for cuts to police departments. D.C. being one of those cities. Mr. Biden emphasized the state and local officials in areas experiencing surges in gun violence can use $350 billion with the B, in COVID-19 relief funding to hire more law enforcement personnel, even if it raises the total number beyond its pre-pandemic level. Matter of fact, I'm going to just go ahead and stop there for a second because that was wild enough for itself. And before we get into the rest of the article, and I'm going to go ahead and let you tee off because you know how I feel about it. We've talked about the conversation here before in terms of how the George Floyd Act is just a redirect and a move around to get more funds back into police departments, as one of the things that they offer up in the bill is a grants program that allows states to apply when states are being held under, quote unquote, mind you, the air quotes, investigation for such crimes related to, as we saw with the George Floyd case, as we saw, Derek Chauvin case, as we saw with like Tamir Rice, when all of these investigations, fake investigations happen, because it never turns out to be so. Because truth be told, the only reason that we have investigations with body cameras is because people cooperate and come together to hide it. But what do you think about Joe Biden telling people to use COVID relief funds in a climate where we also had a myriad of data come out and speak to the fact that the Black community was underserved, underrepresented in COVID, but also overrepresented in the destruction that COVID caused? And so now he is, instead of telling people to use those funds to pour into the community that was most affected, we're going to pour them into police departments. And we already know that more police don't necessarily help deter crime. So what's your thoughts, man?
So let's rewind back for a second. So this was the same president, right? The same president that sent Kamala Harris to go to the border, investigate the root causes of why we have an immigration issue.
Yeah.
All that week we heard the buzzword was root causes, root causes, root causes. We got to find the root cause of why these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week, again, I'm going to keep harping on this. When it comes to the issues that Black folks deal with, we don't know what the hell a root issue is. Root what? Root canal? Root square root? What root you talking about? Roots of explanation? What we talking about here? What root? Ain't no roots. Alex Haley roots? What we talking about? Ain't no roots for us. It's just we gonna get what we get. You
heard Caribbeans up in the hip hop. We don't got no roots apparently. But go ahead.
Hey, listen, man. But here's the net of it. You cannot in one issue tell me that there are root issues to all of these things. But when it comes to the crime that is happening in these communities, and mind you, there were calls for people on your party to defund the police due to what was going on in these communities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, we just got out of a pandemic. Like, people are going through real things. COVID relief money. Here's the list of things that COVID relief money could be going to.
Mm-hmm.
It could be going to after school programs for the youth. It could be going to employment. It could be going to rental assistance. It could be going to so many. Damn it, you could have put that COVID relief money into a reparations bid. But here you are again, taking money that should be going towards healing the community, and you giving carte blanche, blank check to the states and saying, hire as many police as you can. Put them on the streets.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit more from the article. Law enforcement officials and criminologists have said that the pandemic stress and the police pullback amid last year's protests are likely contributors to the rise in crime. So they saying that because the stress as well as police not being readily available was related to the crime that we saw, or rising crime that we saw, when we all know that crime has been consistent in the Black community throughout probably the last 3 to 4 decades.
Okay, but we gotta dig deep for the root issues in Guatemala and in Jerusalem, and it's real root issues that we have to invest billions of dollars in multiple bills for. when it comes to those things.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it's just that one paragraph sums up everything that's wrong and what needs to be fixed in our communities, right?
And to be fair, it says the Labor Department will use existing funding for summer workforce development programs for young people and will help connect formerly incarcerated people with jobs, administration officials said. Now, the problem with that, though, is because the way that the money is divvied up amongst the states, he's encouraging people to use that money to hire more law enforcement personnel, and you can have the flexibility to do otherwise. But in most cases, people are going to take those monies. And the problem that I have with it is that we already have a influx of monies going to police, again, through the George Floyd Act, through other, just again, budget increases. We have a few a few cities where they have actually reallocated the resources, because that's what defund the police was actually about. It was not about defunding the police down to zero. I do think that reallocating resources is a way to do it and go about it, because again, as we all know, I don't think extra police deters crime in any way. If anybody wants to hop on and, give an alternative opinion to that, please feel free. But I don't necessarily see how it deters crime. Does it help with the aesthetic that, a quote unquote certain administration might be hard on crime? Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily help in any particular way. And speaking to, Joe Biden himself is Mr. War on Crime and War on Drugs. And so we've seen how, his policies kind of play out versus how they look on paper. Because a lot of people will argue that, well, Devon, why do you see this as such a bad thing? I mean, inherently, any policy necessarily isn't bad, but what I want you to understand is that how things are implemented, especially based on who's in those spaces, especially understanding that we already have police institutions that are more so racist than not, which is why they're pushing for a whole commission to study how people have infiltrated government, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So all of these things are compounded on top of this one singular issue that we're talking about right now. So it's not just in isolation, which is the issue that I have with it in terms of just encouraging people to bring on more police. And then on top of that, just allowing them to be in a space where they're being rewarded for bad behavior. Any other agency, any other corporation, any other performance evaluation does not work in a way that when you get an F, you get more money. And that's how I view it. Police overall, nationwide, are there few good ones in a borough? It's questionable. I don't really think so, because I think silence is complicit as well, even though I understand that because it is so violent that, you may die for it. But at the same time, it just speaks to the culture of police. So it is what it is. Democrats say the allocation of COVID-19 relief money to retain local police officers demonstrates that the party isn't abandoning law enforcement. Again, law enforcement hasn't done much to show that they need to be, held to high regard. Democrats also point out that 21 House Republicans voted against honoring Capitol police officers who protected lawmakers during the pro-Trump January 6th riot, while all Democrats supported it. Addressing crime was contentious within the Democratic Party in the last two presidential elections. Mr. Biden, as a senator, has helped craft the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which is, as we also know, aka the crime bill. This sweeping legislation also, as people like to point out, included the assault ban, and reducing parole. Grants for states that required prisoners to serve more time by reducing parole. Most congressional Democrats, they say, supported it at the time, but critics, including progressives in the party, have since faulted it for high incarceration rates. Because again, it's not necessarily about how people articulate it and sell it to you. It's more about the overall implementation. And again, Biden doesn't have a good track record, in my opinion, because a lot of people like to still top him off. But for the most part, he's been consistent on locking Negroes up and putting us in position to not have access to the other things, as you mentioned, Quan, to fix the actual core issues.
Exactly.
Because it was just interesting to me that you would suggest and encourage people to do that after we saw COVID data, after we saw the disparities in vaccines. Like, they talk a lot about like the disparities and all of this and all of that, but when they come down to putting money into certain places, nobody wants to do that.
But my thing is just government all together. You will find all of these things as a reason not to do. But when it come to us, it's like, no, we just gonna magically found $1 trillion to give for more police. Like, whenever it's our issue. But Biden won't go hard after that tax data came out and showed that these people that we worship ain't paid taxes, and how he not budging on that. He not adamant about raising the taxes on them peoples. He's not adamant about these Guatemalans.
He kept all of the same economic policies in place that the Republicans and Donald Trump had in place.
Exactly.
Like, and that's why I tell people.
But you only going ham on us. You find billions of dollars when it came to our issues, to put more police out there, to do all of these things. You find money when it comes to keeping black folk quiet and keeping black folk in line. But every other issue that comes up, you either throw somebody under the bus, you either talk this roundabout mess about what you're going to do, but behind closed doors, it's always a conversation. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. We can't get $15 minimum wage. We can't get all of these other things. Student loans. Not going to be able to do these things. But you found $1 billion to give a lot of these states.
360.
That been.
360.
But mind you, they've been having these issues. Like, you can look at some of the numbers of these states before COVID.
No. That's why I said it's BS, for real.
So you just going to give them more money to put more police out there for us. But you can't tax the people that's stealing the money, that's making all the money. You can't do that because you're getting pushback for that. You can't you can't speak on illegal immigration. You got other people speaking on that for you. Like, you got so much smoke for us, and you finding money to do all of these things against us, but you can't even get your own bills passed. You don't know where money is at. We can't fund this. We can't fund that. This, that.
Because it's bipartisanship. He playing into the hands. And again, this is why I say, and I'm telling people right now, if they don't get it together, understand that Democrats going to lose 2022.
Yes.
And we're going to lose 2024.
Yes.
To yours truly, Donald Trump, because y'all are making the case for this man right now.
Exactly.
Point blank period.
There's no way you could find how many billions?
360.
But you couldn't give us $15 minimum wage, right?
Nope.
You couldn't give us student loan debt cancellation, right?
Nope.
These was all the things you ran on.
Yep. All the things most Democrats ran on. And the even worse part is they'll try to isolate people like me while everybody said, oh, we're going to hold them accountable, but everybody backing off the stances. Everybody making these little workarounds and not really trying to just say what it is. Like, he played everybody.
Oh, by the way, you didn't agree with it, but you sure enough rode that defund the police wave. You rode that wave.
Who? Biden?
Everybody in that Democratic Party rode that wave in some way. In some way, everybody rode that defund the police wave.
Yeah, we do
Because
got.
it was a wave.
I was about to say we do got Black Lives Matter Plaza.
It
in
was a
DC.
wave. And yeah, you might say you didn't agree, but you rode the wave.
This
You rode the everybody rode that wave. And now you refunding the police. So the whole party went from defund the police
to refund
the police.
And look, y'all got left out on some change here. We need to get y'all bread back. That's crazy. But if y'all with us and y'all want to chime in, go ahead, call in. Again, the link is in the description. Before we move on to the next topic, can everybody hit the like button, hit the share button? Please subscribe if you're here watching with us. And leave a comment, man. Tell us what you think. I can see all of the comments. So any good ones, I'll try to choose to share. It say on Facebook, I can't. It's only read only. But for the Gilded Sages Facebook page and then the YouTube, I can share your comments. So feel free. We appreciate all y'all for coming out. And next, we gonna get into more foolery. And this is the foolery that I saw. And I know a lot of people may not necessarily think this is our issue specifically in the Black community, but this goes to free speech. Shout out to Julian Assange. I stand to support with that good man. This is an issue around, how can I put this? Censorship. So a lot of people think that, us being monitored and all of these different things are conspiracy, but I want to get and be very specific about the articles that I present right here, because a lot of this is going to go into what a lot of people would call conspiracy. But I really want y'all to understand what we are dealing with right now. So follow me for a little bit, right? The first article that I'm going to go ahead and bring up is this article about John McAfee. So this is from CNN. John McAfee was not suicidal, says widow of antivirus software magnate. Right? So just to fill y'all in a little bit. The widow of controversial antivirus software magnate John McAfee said her husband was not suicidal and blamed the United States authorities for this tragedy after he was found dead in his cell in a prison near Barcelona on Wednesday. The 75-year-old McAfee, who had multiple run-ins with the law, was awaiting extradition after being charged with tax evasion in the United States last year. Speaking to reporters outside the prison on Friday, Janice McAfee demanded a thorough investigation, saying she wanted answers of how this was able to happen. The cause of McAfee's death is under investigation, a spokeswoman for the Superior Court of Catalonia told CNN this week. Janice McAfee's lawyer, Javier Villalba, told reporters Friday his client is waiting for the official autopsy to be done, adding that the family has requested a second and independent one. I blame U.S. authorities for this tragedy because the politically motivated charges against him. My husband is now dead. His last words to me were, I love you and I will call you in the evening, Janice said. He would never have quit this way. He would never take his life in this way, ever. His death came after a ruling from a 3-judge panel at Spain's National Court in Madrid this week that McAfee would be extradited to the United States to face charges. The decision could still been appealed to a larger panel of judges at the same court, according to court documents. Janice said Friday the Spanish court's decision to extradite him did not come as a surprise, and they had a plan to place to appeal it. McAfee had a cellmate at the prison, but the person was not in the cell around the time of McAfee was found dead. A prison official who was asked not to be named told CNN. The official added the other person was out doing normal activities at the prison. Asked if authorities imposed special monitoring measures on McAfee in his cell, the official said, "I'm not aware of that." McAfee was arrested in Spain in October after being indicted in the United States for tax evasions months earlier. He allegedly failed to file taxes for years, despising earnings millions in income between 2014 and 2018 from promoting, hear it out, cryptocurrencies, consulting work, speaking engagements, and selling the rights to his life story for a documentary, according to the court documents. The amount he owed was not specified in the indictment. The Spanish judges approved his extradition to face charges for the 2016, 2017, and 2018 tax years. McAfee, the founder of the eponymous, is that right?
I guess.
I don't know. It's fucking with me. Y'all bear with me. Antivirus software firm with which he is no longer affiliated with, which is also indicted on separate fraud and money laundering charges. The U.S. Department of Justice alleged that he had a business partner participated in the scheme that earned $13 million. So we're going to learn together real quick. I'm going to look that up.
I'm hurt.
Eponymous of a person giving their name to something. Okay. See, I don't got no problem with being transparent with y'all.
Oh, I'm hurt.
It is what it is.
I banged with McAfee.
Yeah, and so, let's remove that one down. And then, again, as we go through this story, I need y'all to follow me. Because John McAfee leads to a different thing that we're going to be talking about with the censorship. Shout out to Julian Assange, because we're going to get there. Because I want y'all to understand that we got our boy Eric Snowden, who has some words. And so while everybody was talking about Donald Trump being hard on whistleblowers, I want y'all to keep in context that your boy Obama, while Biden was the VP, which is why I framed it this way, Edward Snowden is still on the run, right? For sharing with us that our intelligence community and our tech community was spying on us, using our information against our will, and in some cases, actually violating our privacy. So, we're going to share. Follow the story with me, please. I know it sounds crazy. So, next story. Edward Snowden says Julian Assange could be next after John McAfee dies by suicide in jail. Edward Snowden said he fears that Julian Assange could be next if he faces extradition. John McAfee died by apparent suicide on Wednesday, which we just read. Europe should not extradite those accused of nonviolent crimes to a court system so unfair, Snowden tweeted. Former NSA consultant and data privacy advocate Edward Snowden tweeted on Wednesday that Julian Assange could be next, and I do believe he will be next. Antivirus mogul, because I told you, bro, we'll get to the Epstein and all the antivirus mogul John McAfee died after apparent suicide in a Barcelona prison cell following news that he was being extradited. We just went over that. Europe should not extradite those accused of nonviolent crimes to a prison system so unfair and a prison system so cruel. The native-born defendants would rather die than become subject to it. Julian Assange could be next. Until the system is reformed, a moratorium should remain, he added. WikiLeaks found Julian Assange was arrested in April 2019 in the United Kingdom, and the UK court temporarily blocked extradition to the US in January 2021 on 18 charges, most through the Espionage Act of obtaining and sharing classified information. Now, the problem that I have with the extradition and the charges brought up on Julian Assange is that Julian Assange did not put up anything that was illegal. He is a journalist. And so when you're in that industry, you're a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
People come across information in the intelligence agencies, whether it be the CIA, FBI, high-level government officials, give inside scoops to journalists all of the time. So my problem with this whole situation is if they're setting the precedent.
Yeah.
They're setting a legal precedent. And for all of my activists watching, yo, be careful out here. Because we're going to get into it later how your boy Obama set up the indefinite detention of anybody who is suspected to be speaking out against government, capitalism, or corporations. Now, when you take Julian Assange, understand that Julian Assange did not do anything illegal. This case, with him being brought up on charges of sharing classified information, hear me and hear me clearly, is setting precedent. It is not on the books. If this goes, that means that corruption will never, ever make it to the front because the reason that you classify information and the reason that you have the intelligence community, the reason that you have clearances is to maintain the information in a structured way. So again, if you got, let's use regular numbers, right? Let's say you got one being the highest level of clearance. Let's say you got a level 1 security clearance, I got a level 3 security clearance. You are privy to way more information and access that I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that level 1 security clearance, the people on that level, the people who have access to that information, let's say it's 3 of those people, right? We know the 3 people who know what you know. Let's say I have the level 3 security clearance. And let's say on the level of the level 3 security clearance, there are 10 people who have access to the information that I know. And this level of information is not as damaging and is not as, what's the word? You don't lose as much leverage because a lot of the security clearances are about geopolitical, and it goes from trade secrets, it goes from people having access to certain intellectual property. And so I want y'all to understand when you talk about the intelligence community and when you talk about security clearances and when you talk about what's going on right now when it comes to the extradition of Julian Assange, the charges being brought, that they are making it and trying to set a precedent that you cannot share any classified information, even though that classified information may be corrupt. Now, the reason why Edward Snowden, again, not under Trump, Obama with your boy Biden has him running across the globe. He's intervening because John McAfee, who was up for extradition, is now found dead. If y'all remember, Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide. I do not believe he committed suicide. But again, why Jeffrey Epstein is relevant to this as well is because Jeffrey Epstein also was a part of the intelligence community. Because it's not always about being an elected official. Because of the power he had, the reason Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever her name is having to feel through all of this is because when you look at Epstein's career, he's attached not only to Donald Trump, but he's attached to Bill Clinton. He's attached to the royal family. Members of the royal family exiled their own family because of his attachment to Jeffrey Epstein. We understood that Jeffrey Epstein had the island. We understood he had the connections. We understood he had the pop culture connection.
Yeah.
He had all kinds of connections. So when people talk about, oh, well, here you go with the conspiracy, or why do people keep talking about we're being monitored? Anybody in America right now who's still on the stance of, oh, no, you people are crazy kooks over here because you're talking about we're being watched and monitored. Edward Snowden told us that we were being monitored. Zaina LaBeouf, who is the author from Harvard University, wrote a book, Surveillance Capitalism, explaining the marketplace of how we're being surveilled. And not only how we're being surveilled, but how our data is being sold as a commodity, which is used to actually extrapolate and create a data set that allows them to look at a trajectory set to get in front of our behavior as the masses. So again, if anybody want to hop up here, please debate. I got everything right here in terms of articles that if people want to push back on the notion that we are being surveilled and that we are and people are being silenced. And right now, there is a precedent that is trying to be set that is dangerous. Dangerous.
Yeah, this is bad.
Because you can't fight like this. You can't move like this. You cannot be an activist like this. You cannot go against the state. We saw Darren Seals. We saw the people who came out under the Black Lives Matter movement who got murked and off by the FBI in open field. But yet people want to still talk to me about, oh yeah, fam, if we ever want to have a chance, I need y'all to, really admit to yourself what's going on. Really look at this stuff for what it is. Really accept what's right in front of you. Like, stop. Please. But that's not it. That is not it. Because I'm going to show y'all a little bit more. So, this is the next article. This is from the American Civil Liberties Union. So, President Obama, 2011, signs indefinite detention into law. President Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act today, allowing for indefinite detention to be codified into law. As you know, the White House has threatened to veto an earlier version of the NDAA, but reversed course shortly before Congress voted on the final bill. While President Obama issued a signing statement saying he had serious reservations, I guess those was the institutional constraints that he was talking about. Serious reservations about the provisions. The statement only applies to how his administration would use it and would not affect how the law is interpreted by subsequent administrations. The statute is particularly dangerous because it has no temporal or geographic limitations and can be used by this and future presidents militarily to detain people captured far from any battlefield. Under the Bush administration, similar claims of worldwide detention authority were used to hold even a U.S. citizen detained on U.S. soil in military custody, and many in Congress now assert that the NDAA should be used in the same way again. The ACLU believes that any military detention of American citizens or others within the United States is unconstitutional and illegal, including under the NDAA. In addition, the breadth of the NDAA's detention authority violates international law because it is not limited to people captured in context of an actual armed. It is not limited. Hear me? It is not limited to people captured in the context of an actual armed conflict as required by laws of war. Mm-hmm. We are extremely disappointed Obama signed this bill, even though his administration is already claimingly overbroad detention authority in court. Any hope that Obama administration will roll back those claims dimmed today. Now, I want y'all to understand why this is a problem. Because, see, y'all so busy talking about black this, black that, and hyping this man up. Biden was the VP, right? So now we have a situation where you can be held indefinitely. No trial, no nothing. If they feel like, because again, the terminology that they used was very vague, so they can define these things how they see fit, which is why you heard the language when you hear it has no temporal or geographical boundaries. That simply means that temporal meaning, okay, I'm a new administration, I come in. I don't like how you talk to me, Daquan. I don't like what you saying about the Capitol Police, Daquan. Ooh. I don't like that. So I don't like what you saying about Jeff Bezos. I don't like what you saying about American capitalism. I don't like you. What I am finna do is hold you, lock you up indefinitely. No trial, no nothing, because I have deemed through my own definition you as a threat.
So I don't get no Fifth Amendment? I can't plead the Fifth?
You get none of that.
No Fourth Amendment?
You get none of that.
No speedy trial?
You get none of that. You get nothing, Nathan. Nothing, Nathan. And again, because it's not, because they added and amended, it's now also not just applicable to acts of actual war in combat. So your speech can be interpreted as violence.
As a threat?
Yes, sir. So when people ask, oh, why and what are the institutional constraints? Like I have said on this show before, the smoke will come out.
Do we have a very serious problem?
On Obama's legacy, and we will all know and understand ahead, hopefully not too late, but it's bad. And again, I think it's an opportunity. I'm just trying to inform people at this point, especially, again, my activists, all of my people in activism, all of my academicians, all of my scientists. If you wondering why Fauci running around here able to say anything, if you walking around here wondering why all your academics are being silenced, or why Nicole Hannah-Jones is being put in the position that she's being put in, because if she goes further, they can view that and define that as an attack, as seditious speech, language. I don't think people understand when you have such vague language how dangerous it gets. Yeah. When you allow people to define it up. And geographic meant that it didn't apply to foreign or domestic. It don't matter. You can get got wherever.
But here's my thing with it. Because when the average person looks at this stuff and they look at the news, when it comes to stuff that's going on about what you're talking about, all you hear is Russia, 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 China, 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 China. And it's like, no, I don't want to make it seem like they not tyrants. But your man Putin be chilling. All of them over there be chilling. It's us. This ain't got nothing to do with no Putin. This ain't got nothing to do with Jim Kong and all of them. This is us. We doing this. Our politicians is setting it up for the Hunger Games 4. They setting it up. All of this. And they putting it on everybody that they can find. Russia ain't doing half of what you just explained on that screen. They talking about elections and they doing this. No, we are offing niggas. Like that shit you just described. That's like a scene off of the Untouchables.
Man, like, it's getting bad though.
It's getting bad. This is crazy. This is mob shit.
I keep telling y'all, politics is mob shit, and that's why I need people on mob shit. Because, bruh, they not caring. They're not caring at all. And by the time we look up, we won't be able to say anything, whether it be because we don't have access to labor, we can't unionize because you got people like Bezos and them out here with ugobs of money and busting them up. But also, with the January 6th happening, I need everybody to understand that, this commission that they're calling for to basically thwart domestic terrorism. Biden came out with his strategy plan. I don't see in here what I was looking for. I wanted to show y'all the text. I did leave the articles down in the thread. So if y'all want to, check that out and look it up, the stuff for yourself. Again, the case was fought by Chris Hedges and Noam Chomsky. Two, or I'll say one man that I actually, respect in being Chris Hedges. And then you got Noam Chomsky, who is, again, an intellectual thought leader. I can't take that away from him. And again, they challenged Obama in court because they understood the layout and the rollout. And so right now we have Biden in his current administration also laying out more strategies, as they call it, to be able to what they call thwart, and undermine domestic terrorism. But that is going to come at the expense of the citizen of the United States citizen, similar to how we saw, like they said with George Bush, and freedom of information, in terms of using that to drum up fear. And it's the same textbook tactic. And again, I just wanted to get that out and put that out there. Again, if y'all want to, say that's conspiracy, it is what it is. If you watching right now, you can hop in. The link is below. I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to view our nation in that way. But look, man, it's not a perfect nation. And if we don't get on top of this now, we're not going to be able to activate a damn thing without being murdered.
Listen, this is ghetto. We just sum it up. Just this is all ghetto, man.
America ghetto. You got ghetto niggas who fled their homeland and they came here and made a super ghetto and started it off with slavery.
This is all ghetto.
But so I want to thank everybody who in here watching with us. Anybody who wants to hop in and hop on, feel free. We only got one more discussion left, and this is about this BS infrastructure bill. So before we go ahead and do that, hit the subscribe button. Please share. Please do all of those things. We appreciate it. We small. We're trying to help us get to 1.5K subscribers, man. Mm-hmm. That's my goal for this year. I'm trying to get there. To be able to bring in some more people, be able to help out, teach a little bit and just expand the message. So this is about the bipartisan infrastructure bill. I'm going to go ahead, share the screen one more again. So as you all can see, bipartisan Senate infrastructure plan is a stalking horse for privatization. The scheme would fund new infrastructure by selling off old infrastructure. So it's always a catch to these things. And this is why I'd be trying to tell y'all. This is from the American prospect. And so, if you believe that the Senate bipartisan infrastructure proposal is just a part of a whole that some President Biden's spending can pass in there under regular order and the rest in a larger reconciliation package, then you might see it as a benign way to boost Biden's bipartisan deal-making capabilities without sacrificing anything. As I've written, there's not enough yet trust amongst the Democratic caucus for Biden to make that sale. But if you see the bill is not wholly additive but subtractive, you might reject it on its own terms. So let's skip down a little bit. We don't have many details, perhaps by design, about the effort, save for a fact sheet that repeatedly was only written by one of 21 senators involved, but we know that Republicans have rejected offsetting any of the $579 billion in the new spending in the bill with tax increases, Biden's preferred method for this entire American Jobs and Families Plan. Instead, the fact sheet lists 11 alternatives. It does vow to reduce the IRS tax gap, earmarking more money for tax enforcement to increase revenue from existing law. But the Gang of 21 agrees with the Congressional Budget Office picayune scoring of the provision. Many have focused on the electric vehicle surcharge and gas tax indexing to inflation. The latter has popped in and out of the package, and Biden administration has rejected user fees of this type of violation to his campaign pledge to not raise taxes on anybody making $400,000 and under. But the really scary piece is labeled public-private partnership. All my people who work in government hear that term a lot. Private activity bonds and asset recycling. In the name of building world-class infrastructures, these lawmakers would sell it off in fire sales to private financiers. We have lots of experience with infrastructure privatization that strongly suggests it should be avoided. Exactly.
Thank you.
There was a time when Democrats did oppose such schemes. It was during the Trump administration. Again, everything was bad only under Trump. But to the extent that Trump had the infrastructure vision, it was rooted in privatization. Wilbur Ross and Peter Navarro, who would each take high-level jobs in the Trump administration, wrote a paper before the 2016 election outlining their vision. $1 trillion in investment provided by private bond buyers. Let me change this. Private bond buyers who would be guaranteed a tax credit to buy the bonds, interest on the debt, and equity stake in the dividends. It adds up to the usual song and dance about how private enterprise is so much more efficient than public sector, therefore saving money overall. It takes about 2 seconds to recognize how ridiculous this is. Yep. The government doesn't require a 10% margin on equity tax credits and interest payments. I'm not going to read. Y'all can go to the actual article down below in the actual description. It is there for you to read. I just really want to get to the fact that for all of those people who don't necessarily agree with, this time I can say the squad and I guess the center left people came out against it, and rightfully so. And they came out against it because of that. So anybody who's pushing for or celebrating this infrastructure bill, as we see like the collapse in a condo, we see like the collapse over here in DC and Nanny Helleburns, I want us to understand that they will try to use this to push through and seize a moment for private corporations to just really make more money. And the issue that I have with it is, again, it's not inherently a bad thing. But when we see how things have been implemented in the past, I think we have to get out of the fact as citizens being so naive to believe that the trajectory will end in a different way. And what you have to understand about corporations and that we have to get away from in a society right now that, is having the issues that it's having is that our infrastructure is precious in the sense that it is one of those it is one of those commodities or tools that should not be built in and around profit. So when you sell it off to a corporation, again, and I'm not against corporations making profit, but we have to have a understanding and we have to have lines and boundaries that every single thing can't be about profit. Because when you make it that way, that's how we get into people saying, oh, well, why does everything have to be paid? Why is everything becoming tolls? Why is everything becoming this? Because when you make or when you give it to corporations, their bottom line is $1. And we can't have projects that are all predicated in and around money. Because what happens is a project that actually might work and be feasible, a corporation will go and say, you know what? That don't make me money. Scrap it. In no way, shape, or form does that work. And I know there are a lot of people who pushing back with saying, well, they're just going to build it and they just get to make money off of it and they get to buy into it. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yes, it's a problem. And I'm knocking corporations because at the end of the day, there's no commons. When you allow corporations to be able to buy everything up. That's why for the last 8 episodes, I've been on Bill Gates. Check him out, buying up all of this farmland.
Mm-hmm.
He's buying billions of dollars worth of farmland. What happens when everything that's being grown, he owns, and you can only buy from him because he owns everything in America? And then my thing is this. Somebody, for the life of me, help me understand the difference between Biden's plan and opportunity zones, or the platinum plan and what the hell he's proposing right now. What's the difference?
In terms of what? The infrastructure?
In terms of what was going to happen. Because what you literally just read was pretty much a copy and paste of what was happening in 2016 when Trump was in office.
It is. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it is.
So,
and that's why I said they're giving the GOP ammo for 2024. Because people ain't dumb, bro. I think the elites of America think that people are watching this and they're being fooled. And I'm trying to look, whether you elite, if you elite, I'm trying to tell you, look, people ain't dumb, son. Y'all not going to win this way. And if you the common man, I'm just saying either you on one or two sides of the common man right now. The common man who F this, I'm here with you. We on the same page. The common people who still are a little naive, I'm trying to get them onto the side of enough is enough. Because we can't just keep saying oh, we're going to have hope that it's going to, be better. And what the fuck?
Yeah, we can't keep voting and dying because it's just dying at this point. It's no more vote.
Man.
It's just dying.
Do you got any final thoughts as we end this one out?
This is all ghetto, fam. It's just all ghetto.
Hold on.
In the ghetto, on the cold and gray Chicago morning, that little baby child is born in the ghetto. In the ghetto.
That's my final.
Do we have a very serious problem?
Now, as I was saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad. Because drugs are bad. Okay? It's a bad thing to do drugs, so don't be bad by doing drugs. Okay? That'd be bad. Drugs are bad. Okay?
There you go.
I want to thank everybody for coming out, watching another video, Gilded Sages. If you're watching this on replay, please be sure to like the video, leave a comment, share, and tell us what type of content y'all want to see. We have 3 different tracks. Let us know what type of topics y'all want to cover. We always open to covering, putting it into the mix. So I enjoy having this conversation. Please, please, please accept what y'all seeing right now. I do not need people to dig their head more in the sand. I need us to acknowledge what we see. That's why I try to bring articles and put articles up here so that, look, I'm just trying to get y'all the information, man. Shit is what it is. It doesn't make me happy doing this. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. I'm just telling you what it is. It's a negative situation. So again, this is for my activists. Y'all be safe out here because it's getting crazy. And to everybody else, man, y'all be safe, and we gonna catch y'all another day. Thank you.